I remember being 19 years old when I just started going to university. And back then I thought that after I would have finished university, I would already be a successful founder. I thought I would have this working company and I'd be successful. And if this was not going to happen that way, I was going to be a failure. Well, my 19-year-old self back then had no idea of what I actually wanted, what I was actually really good at, or what really motivated me because I never asked myself those questions. So, guess what? I'm almost done with university right now, and while I did figure out a bit of what I don't want to do and a bit more of what I do want to do, I'm still learning about myself and figuring out who I really am, at least in this phase of my life. We are surrounded by so much noise, may it be the opinions of our parents, of our friends, or through people that we see on social media. So it's actually really hard to cut through the noise and to figure out what we are really meant to be doing with our lives. If we actually have a look on some numbers, we see that 59% of 25 to 33-year-olds are actually unsure of what to do next in their life or in their career. And 32% say that they're not pursuing the career yet that they actually want. And because I thought that I'm probably not the only one trying to figure out what it is that I really want in my 20s, I thought, let's dive a bit deeper into it and actually look at the process, how we can really figure out what it is that we want. So I spoke to Ashley Stahl, and Ashley is a career coach. She's also a TED Talk speaker, hosts her own podcast, the U-Turn podcast, and has also written a best-selling book called U-Turn as well. And together with her, I want to decode 3 steps today on how we can all figure out what it is that we want in our 20s. First, clarity comes through engagement, and don't be afraid to make a wrong decision.
If there's anything I learned over my years, it's that your life is an experiment and you can't find yourself unless you're willing to lose yourself and try things on. Clarity comes from engaging and taking action. It doesn't come from sitting and thinking. Sometimes sitting and meditating will give you answers, but a lot of the time you need new information to come up with new conclusions, and that comes from taking action. So my invitation for anyone listening is, can you get to a place where you know enough that you give yourself permission to take some sort of step? I think the fear of making a mistake really paralyzes people. And it's really important to say to yourself, I give myself permission to try something on and for it not to be fully right, but for it to move me forward. I think one of the problems is that people want their next thing to be right. We're afraid of living a life that's not perfect. But the truth is, purpose is messy. Self-actualization takes time. It can be so messy, and it's so important that you're able to say to yourself, how do I get so clear on who I am? And the answer is, you usually aren't going to get it in one swoop. It's through experimentation.
So this means that we need to try things, that we need to get curious and just try out different opportunities, right? But at least for me, I had the problem that I was always finding myself jumping from opportunity to opportunity, not really allowing myself to take a step back because I always wanted to figure out as fast as possible what my deeper calling was. I feel like a lot of us are always looking for our purpose, our deeper calling, but is this really the right approach? This question leads us to point number 2. Nobody has a calling, it's all about who you are.
I think what's most important, and the message that I learned in my work, is that it's not about doing what you love. It's not about finding your purpose. It's about doing what you are. It's not about what you're interested in. Let's say you're interested in fashion or cosmetics or sports. Those are all great interests. Those are a backdrop. The foreground is the tasks that you're going to carry out through your day, how you're going to use your mind, your body, and your heart. There's a few different elements that I consider when it comes to people being fulfilled in their career. The first one is the what, which is what we're talking about, their skill set. The second piece is the how. The how has to do with your core values. It has to do with how you work best. So if you're someone who works better from home, If you're someone who needs flexible hours, if you're someone who is in a creative role and you're most creative from 7 p.m. to 1 in the morning, these are things that are good for you to know about yourself. If you're someone who values balance, define it. What does balance mean for you? Oh, balance means that you're done at 6 so you can work out and be with your family. These are all things that come down to knowing yourself and knowing your values. And then a third factor that I don't talk about in my book, but I reflect on a lot, is around your energy levels. You know, some people are introverts, some people are extroverts. That's so important for you to know. Let's say that your skill set is words, like me. That can look like many things. If you're an extroverted word person, that can look like being on stages. If you're an introverted word person like me, that's going to look like having a podcast versus a YouTube channel. I did a YouTube channel and it was exhausting for me because it was against my energy levels. And then there's also being an entrepreneur versus an intrapreneur. And I think that really comes down to your relationship with risks and your relationship with financial security. A lot of people think that they need freedom and I think the entrepreneur needs all out freedom. They need creative freedom. It needs to be their idea, their terms. A lot of intrapreneurs, people who work within a company but have a lot of autonomy, they just need flexibility. They just need autonomy, but they like working under an umbrella that contains them. It's really important to understand your primary motivation. Some people are motivated by money. They really are. They want to invest. They want to have nice things, whatever it is. Other people are motivated by impact. Other people, it's connection, it's power. What does power mean? In a city like Washington, D.C., it means who you know. Everybody has different motivators. And in my book, I outline that so that people can kind of identify where theirs are and really get honest with themselves. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's okay to be motivated by what you're motivated by.
Another question I asked myself was, how do we really know our own truth? Like, when are we, for example, telling ourselves a story or being influenced by opinions or people around us? For example, I never questioned if I should go to university or not. It was just something that everyone around me was doing. It was something that my parents told me to do, so I just went for it. And while I don't think that university is a bad experience necessarily, for me, I think there would have been other ways to just learn better, learn faster, and just be in a better environment than traditional university. So this leads us to the last point, number 3. Question your core beliefs.
We kind of get our thermostat inside and our mindset set by our parents or our primary caregivers. And if we never question it, if we never question the thoughts that we were having from them about success, about money, about love, about possibility, we tend to adopt what they believe. And that's why transformation and growth can be so painful. Because if you build your life based on the beliefs you formed with your primary caregivers, you're adopting their limitations or their expansion. You operate out of what you believe, right? Like, why would I pursue something that I don't think is achievable? It's just crazy making. Like, it's nonsense. So I think it's really important that we start to check in with ourselves and say, what do we believe is possible? And are we truly willing to put ourselves out there for the things that we want? And if we're not, what are the beliefs coming up that are keeping us from doing it? It's, I can't do this because fill in the blank. I can't do this because of what people will think of me. I can't do this because what if I fail? Well, what if you fail? Follow that line of thinking. Well, if I fail, then it's going to be embarrassing. Okay, what if you're embarrassed? Well, if I'm embarrassed, nobody's going to want to be my friend. Okay, what if nobody wants to be your friend? Keep following your beliefs until you get to the root.
I feel like this last point is so huge because I believe that we all hold so many subconscious belief systems within ourselves that can be either very empowering or also limiting what we're capable of to achieve in this life. So I think it's really nice to just dive a bit deep and actually question what might be holding us back. So lastly, take this as a gentle reminder that it's totally normal to not have all the answers yet to your questions. It's just important that you get going, get started, get curious, discover yourself, your strengths, and then go from there. And like Steve Jobs once said, stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, I would be so grateful if you'd hit the subscribe button. It just helps to spread this advice for more people in their 20s. Thank you so much again, and I hope to see you very soon in the next video.